Welcome back to the newest edition of MyCase Monday. So we're in my demo file of MyCase, and today we're going to talk about rules specifically in the banking feed, the banking tab, I should say, or the banking dashboard. So to get there, we always start on the home page, and we're going to come down into modules. We're going to bump out the accounting section. Today we're in banking. And once we get to the banking dashboard, the submenu pops out in rules. Okay. Let me just show you what rules are, and then we'll talk about what the rules, how they function, what their purpose is. There is a software, I guess it's a SaaS, a software as a service. And I think it's called If This, Then That, IFTT. I think that's what it's called. Essentially, you're defining for MyCase accounting, if a transaction meets certain criteria, then I want you to do this with it. It's meant to help you with your bookkeeping, and it does save you time. And so, especially if you have a lot of transactions that have the exact same criteria and you want to process them the same way. So let's just see what these rules look like. Okay. This and rule name is whatever you call it, and it's whatever triggers you to remember what this is. Then what account does it apply to, the conditions, and then what's going to happen. So let's go into this rent expense. So we can edit. So in here, you can change the priority. And why priority matters is because the rules are processed in this order. So 1, 2, 3. I have a client that has, this is rows 100. I have somebody that has over 200 rules. Okay. Essentially, every time a new transaction pops up, we create a new rule. And the rules will process in order. And once it hits a transaction, once a transaction matches a rule, it stops running the rest of the rules. So let's look at this rent expense one. So that's where this priority, you can increase or decrease the priority. You can turn something on or off. So it's a toggle switch. I just click that and it disables it. You can delete it. If it's completely wrong and you never want to use it again, you can delete it. And it's no big deal. I mean, you can just create a new one or you edit. So let's just see how this is. So this rule is called rent expense. And if any money is going out of this operating account, and just so you know, you can select multiple accounts. It depends on what your bank accounts, how you have them set up, if you want to include multiple accounts or not. But if you wanted to include a second account, you would just click it from the drop-down menu and it pops up in this field as being selected. So rent expense is any money out from these accounts where the description contains rent. Now you have the ability to put in multiple conditions, but no, the more fancy you get, the less transactions match the conditions. So if description contains rent, then I want you to assign it as a vendor. The payee will be vendor, landlord, and these are drop downs. So it could be, not for rent expense, but if this were a specific amount of money coming in from a very specific source, maybe it's customer and it's Aaron Koo. I don't know. But I just know for this rent expense, we're going to assign it as a vendor and it's going to go to landlord. You can also you can actually just leave this blank. But because I know rent expense is always going to be paid to this very specific vendor called landlord, then that's what I want to assign it to. And then the category, is going to be an expense. The category meaning in your books, on your profit and loss statement, where do you want this to show up? And you want it to be a rent and lease expense. That's where it needs to go. If you want to include a memo, that's fine, but just don't be too specific with this. If I would type in here October rent, then every single memo would be updated to say October rent. And that's not going to be true. That would be true for this month because this is October 2025, but the next one will not. It would be November, and then you kind of get off. So you have to be careful of what you're picking here to be adding to your memo field. So we would save this rule. And then what happened, and to add a rule would be doing the same thing that we just did. Name the rule. Is it money in or is it money out? What accounts does it impact? What are the conditions? What happens? Okay. So if we created this rule for rent expense, when we go into banking and we would pick our account, and any of these, so in here, and again, this doesn't work exactly as intended because this is a demo file not connected to a real bank account. But these in this section that we are in right now is, so for review means these are in a queue. They're kind of in this bucket. It's a holding bucket and not posted to your books yet. So MyCase knows about them because you connected this bank account to your online bank, but it doesn't know what to do with them yet. So for that rule that we just posted for rent, when I click add, the rule, and I just saw it flip. I don't know if you noticed it, but initially, this is when a transaction comes in from the bank feed, this is what it looks like. So I picked this one above it. This card on the left shows us all the information that came in from the bank feed from your online bank. This card on the right is, what do you want to do with this in your books? And so this is your ability to post it to a specific customer or vendor. The description populates from the description from the bank. The date populates from the date from the banking feed. You have the ability to assign it to a court case. And then what general ledger account are you going to post it to? And then once you fill this in, this button opens up. It turns, I think it turns blue or green, I can't remember. And then you click it, and then that's how it gets posted to your books, and it clears off of this feed. But what we did, and this is like this because there's no rule. Now when I click on this rent, because remember our rule for rent expense was that the description included the word rent. And what did I tell it? I said, if for this bank account, if the description contains rent, change it to a vendor, name landlord. You can leave the rent as the description. It'll include the date. No court case, because that wasn't one of my options in the rule. But I wanted to post it to rent and lease expense. And then it even says down here, the rule applied, rent expense. Now, so the button, it just is dark blue, or it matches. I guess, I don't know if that's black or dark blue, but whatever. This was grayed out before. So remember up here, when I look at this, it's grayed out and I can't select categorize because I haven't told it all the information yet. But down here, I now can select this because it meets all the criteria. I've filled in all the required fields. And so now this is ready to categorize. Rules will help you because now you don't have to spend the time to pop this open, decide who the vendor or the customer was, and you don't have to pick the general ledger account. So now you don't have to think about what the account is, and you don't have to type it. This is where it saves you time. What it doesn't save you time on is you still have to open this transaction, review it, and then categorize it. So even in this situation where rent, it met a criteria, this rule got applied, it's still sitting in your queue where somebody has to open it, to add it, review it, and then categorize it. So rules are good because they're going to help you with the required fields being filled out, but they're not automatic, I guess, or automated would probably be a better way to describe it, where if it all matches, I guess in my preferred world, if a rule gets applied, just automatically post it. I'm good. If it met my criteria and it did what it needed to, just go ahead and categorize it. I don't want to take the time to actually bump this out, look at the details, and categorize it. I just assume that if the rule applied, it's correct and go ahead and categorize it. So it does save you time in comparison to when you don't have a rule, but you still have to take time to look at this transaction, to review it, and then categorize it to post it to your books. If you have any questions about MyCase accounting, leave a comment below.